in the resolution up. All right. And, not too much action this morning. It's pretty quiet. Pretty flat day. We're down about 12 points on the ES, about 90 handles on the NASDAQ, and about 2 points on the Russell. Gold having another pop, up 25 points. Silver's flat. Most of the grain markets generally flat. There's kind of a little bit of a buzz going on with those. Even some newsworthy type events as well with the grain markets, and mostly related to soybeans. There were quite a few news stories about how the farmers, since they haven't been selling a lot of their beans, they've been putting them in the silos and storing them, with the hope that when they do, or if and when they do get around to doing some selling, the prices will be higher. Right? So there's that, which is interesting. And, I'm still working out some bugs too with this. I was playing around with OBS this morning. I was trying to get the iPad connected. It's not connecting now. I don't know why. It's always something. But, we'll try and get that connected, because they do have a couple of cool things to do on the iPad. Not that it's really anything of any consequence. It's not going to change anybody's trading outcome, but it's stuff that just looks kind of cool. Otherwise, looking at crypto, bleh. Pretty lackluster, honestly, across the board. Story there is most of the movement is coming from a lot of the alternative coins. Now, I don't know. I'm not a crypto expert. I'm by no means would ever even want to be a crypto expert. I think there's a lot of utility there. I think as an investment vehicle, though, I think you're still dealing with something. Because the reason I'm bringing this up, someone had said something to me yesterday, like, what do you think about crypto? And I just, I said what I tell people here, what I've been saying even from the get-go, even during this huge run-up with Bitcoin. I think It's nothing more than another asset class now. They've completely legitimized it now. So, and especially since you have ETFs now, you got BlackRock involved, you got most of the markets involved. There's futures products now, there's options on the futures products. So, they've kind of legitimized it to the point where it is now just another asset class. And, kind of deal with it like that. And I don't know really how else to explain it. I think you just need to filter out all the noise about it and all the hype, and you have the same. And sadly, I keep seeing the same people out here over and over and over and over again. Talking about oh well, some new, and it's like and they're pointing at the stars, and it's like, dude, grow up. You're like, what, 45 years old? Like 45 years old, and you're still like making the same content you did 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and you're still pointing at the stars, and you're still talking about everybody getting rich, and people got rich already. Like, take a victory lap. Anybody who got into Bitcoin when it was below 10 grand at this point, if you held on to it and you had a decent amount, let's face it, you're rich. But the reality is that you're not transferring that Bitcoin into something that's going to be other than US dollars to recognize whether you're rich. So you still have to convert it into dollars for it to. So it is not, it is not a currency. And you're rich, so take a victory lap. You were right. But as far as going forward, and I'll say it again, you're not going to get rich trading crypto. Can you make money? Yeah, sure. You're going to be able to make money. There's no question about it. I actually added a little bit more to my crypto in the last couple of days. Here and there, I don't really talk about it because it hasn't been anything significant. But yeah, can you make some money? You definitely can. Again, it's another asset class. I think I kind of look at it the way people looked at gold years and years ago. You need to have, 1%, 2%. I don't know if you need 5%, but I think you need have some exposure to it. That's it. I don't know what else to say. And stick to all the big ones. I have the ones here. These are the ones that I follow. I have this up here because, look, obviously, that's going to have some movement in it because of who's in the White House. And that's the only reason why I have it there. When his term is done, I'm probably going to remove that and not even be interested in it anymore. And some of these others. So anyway, I don't want to get into it. I'm not a crypto, this is not a crypto deal here, but that's just kind of my take on it. Just treat it like another asset. And, don't be an idiot about it. You're not getting rich. You're going to make money? Yeah, you can make some money. You definitely can make some money. You're not going to get rich. Because if you haven't gotten rich to this point, chances are you're not going to rich. Unless, again, I could be totally wrong. Unless you go into one of these real like shitbag coins that aren't even listed here, or you have like XRP for whatever reason, and you put, 10,000 or 20,000 in here and it goes to $10. Yeah, you're going to, but are you going to be rich? No. If you do the math, being rich isn't, making $100,000 or it's not, folks. Let's face it. Even $1 million is garbage today in today's society. I know it's kind of a benchmark for a lot of people, but, look, and I don't want to discount the fact that, hey, look, if you got $1 million and you're, liquid or worth assets and you're fairly young, 30, 40 years old, yeah, would I consider you rich? Fuck no. Hell no. I would consider you better off than probably more than half of the population, if that's the case. But are you rich? Fuck no. No. So anyway, that's kind of my take on that. So that's really all I want to say. And then today, I'm going to look at the ES. And my hope is that we do get a decent amount of price action today that warrants some trading. Now, just looking at this is the first time I'm looking at this chart today, so, bear with me a little bit. What sticks out in my head right away is 67.73. Why? Point of control. It's a pivot. There looks like there's some sellers. Does look like there's some buyers down here. And so if indeed we get down there, I am going to look to take on a long down there. Right now, overnight, we had a perfect setup, but obviously I wasn't up. But we literally came up to, and let's see if I can focus in on this. And that's why, folks, I just can't stress enough. Why does this not want to pull this down? What is going on? See, this actually annoys me sometimes. This should pull down, and it's not. Anyway, I'm going to have to do this, and I didn't want to do that. So, but overnight here, we had this event. We had 66667.25, and we backed off of it. We literally tagged it and backed off it. And you had a couple of things. You had a point of control, and you also had an R1. Now, as far as today, just kind of according to the rules, am I going to look at this again today? Absolutely. But the issue with this is, since it's already kind of in play and we went up there and rejected, chances are the next time it makes an attempt to get up through there, the likelihood that you get some kind of pullback that's significant. You may get like what I call kind of those breather pullbacks where it's not enough to really take a trade, and then you kind of leg up higher. But be aware of it, and that's why I put the alert in. So if we drift up here again today and it's slow and methodical, then that trade will actually have a lot of validity. If we drive up there really fast with some momentum, chances are we're going to plow right through it. And that brings us up to R2. And so R2, it definitely would be very interesting, in my opinion, which is 6889.50. But that would be another pretty decent move. So those are the spots I'm looking at on the ES. Just looking at the chart here on how we're trading. And this is the 1 hour. This is what I look at when I'm looking at the pivots. I look at the 1 hour. And then when I actually start trading, I start drilling in. I look at the 1 hour. I usually will go to the 15-minute. And then from the 15-minute, I will go to a tick chart. And I highly recommend use a tick chart, only for the fact that the minute charts do not do a very good job of representing the amount of trade that is going on. Where the tick charts will actually calculate. So when you start getting that fast tape, and there happens to be a ton of ticks coming through, you'll be able to capture that price action. And if you know what I mean. And look, if you've never used one before, trust me, use it a little bit, get used to it. And I think once you start using it after a while, you'll start seeing the light and say, wow, what have I been missing all these years? Everybody uses minute charts. I should have been using tick charts. And then if you really want to be a pro, use order flow. I used to use order flow all the time when I was using NinjaTrader. I got annoyed with the platform. I use a Mac, unfortunately, and I'm not going to go change to PC. And I was using a virtual machine, and it sucked. And I have a pretty powerful Mac, and it just sucked. It just never worked right. It was just always quirky, and I think it was because it was a virtual machine. And then I tried MotiveWave, and MotiveWave wants to charge you too fucking much money. So I was like, you know what? I don't need it. You know, I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I really like it. I don't like it enough to have to pay that much for it. I think Motive Wave wanted like another $1,200 or $1,400 for their software just to get the order flow. And I'm like, what? What is the big deal? So anyway, there's my trades on the ES. Right. I don't think there's really any news today. I was looking here. There's nothing at all, in fact, today. Mortgage, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know. There's nothing real here. Fed Paulson, Fed Williams, Fed Waller, a couple of bill auctions. I don't think you really have anything. I think the big talk as far as data is concerned is going to be Thursday. Because if the government opens, we're going to start getting the flow of data again. So there's that. I don't really see anything on the tape. I see Beyond Meat, which I don't even know why they call it Beyond Meat. They should just call it anything but meat. But it's a meme stock, BYND, is actually getting hammered. Yeah, it's getting hammered again. And I've seen this one all over social media. This one's been all over social media. And it is a piece of crap. This is just a prime example of a stock that you could just get caught in the meat grinder with this one. No pun intended. I just caught myself. Get caught in the meat grinder on a stock that has nothing to do with meat. That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, I don't even, and as far as the options are concerned, and you can see we're having a little bit bad day to open. But we're down. Let's see. And if we go to Beyond Meat, I'm sure the options have a lot of, I'm sure there's tons of activity in this. Come on, slow. I'm sure there's a ton of activity. Go to November. Yeah, I mean, look at the open interest on these up and down the scale here. And I don't have anything, and to me, look, if you want to, this is a type of stock to me where, look, if you want to take a flyer, go ahead. The options are cheap enough. They're probably way overpriced anyway, but if you want to take a shot on this thing for whatever reason, maybe taking a skyrocket ship back up to $3 or something like that, go ahead. Go for it. Nothing wrong with that. Just don't be stupid about what you do. But, I don't have a problem with that, and what would I do if I was going to trade this? I probably wouldn't even buy the options. I would probably just buy the stock if I was going to do something. But I'm probably not, I wouldn't even touch it, to be honest. But anyway, it's on the ticker that it's active and it's down. I'm sure there was some kind of news or some bullshit that came out about it. They're saying they're not really using plants; they're actually using meat. And you just hear all these vegans just go, oh. Yeah, I don't know what the news was on it. Let's see. There's got to be something. Oh, no. Where is that? Oh, God. I try to use Tasty Trade for some of this other stuff like news and all this other stuff, but it just does not work. Does not work. This one's news, right? Yeah, news. Paramount, Skydance, CoreWeave. Okay. All right, there you go. Beyond Meat stock plunges on weak quarterly sales. Shocker. Shocker, shocker. Who's buying that crap? All right. So anyway, let's get back to business here. I'm actually like jerking around here and wasting everybody's time. So let me get into. I did write some stuff down. last night. Wow, scary, right? I got a few here today. I got Marvel, MRVL. MRVL. I got this one on the list today. This is what this one looks like. MRVL. CCJ. Camco. Another one on the list. And SMR. NuScale Power. And then if I get to it, I'm going to talk a little bit about Hut 8. Stock, another company making news, and just trying to maybe play off of a little bit of hype on most of these. So let's dig in and let's go to, and I might say, where did you get these? All right, so here's what I did. I go over to Tasty. It's pretty simple, methodical thing that I do. Here is what I do is I go over to high options volume. I go over to IVR. This is not rocket science, folks. I rate them by the highest IVR to the lowest, and then I just go through each one. I looked at Oracle. I would talk about Oracle. Maybe I will, but I have so much Oracle right now. I don't even know what to do with it. So I don't really want to tell you. Can see I'm in December. I'm in March. I don't really want to do anything more with that. Oklo is on the list. This is another one that's kind of been, newsworthy and moving. You got Lululemon on there. The reason I'm not talking about those is Lululemon's kind of got my number. I've never been able to make money on that, and it's kind of on the list. And so I am not going to do anything there. SanDisk, same thing. Baidu, I already have a position in Baidu. I'm short some puts in Baidu. So I did, but anyway, that's where I got those names, and I just went down this list, and they came up. There's SMR. There's ClearSpark. We talked about that one a little bit. I didn't do anything in that yesterday. I was going to. I started playing around a little bit, and I was like, I don't really want to deal with that one. And so that's where I got those tickers. All right. And so anyway, let's go in here and let's talk about Marvel, MRVL. Now, for those who don't know, and look, I'll admit too, I actually had to go in and I traded Marvel a number of times, but I had to go in and actually read on what it is they do. Because look, I'll be honest, folks, I'm a trader with a lot of these stocks. I'm an investor with a lot of stocks, but with stocks like these, I'm more of a trader, and I honestly don't really know what half of them freaking do. I'm just trading them from either a price perspective or because there's high volatility or something looks good on the chart or something like that. And that's all. I don't even give a shit what they do, to be honest. And I had to go and look and see what it was like, what the tagline is of what it is they do. And, they do what I expected them to do, right? They do chips, they make stuff, circuit boards, right? So pretty hot industry. So anyway, with that being said, good IV rank. They got earnings coming up in December. And overall in a good sector. And then if I look at the chart, it seems like it had a little bit of a pullback here. And if I zoom out, let's go to the daily. It's not completely at a point where it might be exhausted. And there may even be some potential for this to possibly fill this gap. This gap. Right? Strong potential for it to fill that gap. And so what I would like to do is, possibly get into some kind of trade on this at some point. Now, today does look like a good day to possibly get long these, because it looks like a lot of these across the board are all taking a hit. All these, like, I'm actually classifying them as AI type of plays. I mean, they're probably not totally AI plays 100%, but I was trying to classify some stocks here and now as like what are they really trading on? And what puts them in this category for me, folks, is not just what they do, like circuit boards, but it has to do with, energy. Are they doing things with energy? Are they into data centers? Anything that has something to do with, infrastructure as a whole with AI, because to me, that's going to be where the money is ultimately made is in the infrastructure to build all this crap out. Right now, that's not me saying that. That's a lot of experts saying the same thing. So anyway, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, all right, this looks like this might be a good opportunity. It's got good volatility. And so what do you do? So I was kind of looking at, maybe January, doing maybe a little put spread. It's down today. The 30 delta is about an 85. So maybe like an 85.80 put spread on Marvell up out to March. Now it's past the earnings. They got earnings coming out. As you can see, they have earnings. On December 2nd. Right? Earnings on December 2nd. So I'm going to be out past that. Doesn't mean I'm going to get hurt in any way, but I am aware that, look, it might get a little more volatility, may actually expand a little bit in here. But, I want to do something now, and I want to just wait till earnings. So I was kind of looking at something like this, just like a simple 85.80. Sell a little premium here, small premium, 7 deltas wide, almost 60% pop in here. I'm not using a lot of money. This likely will actually give you a little bit more money today because it's down about $2. This may actually be upwards near 190 or 195, which makes it even more attractive. Just be aware, they are looking for a $19 move out in January. Volatility is relatively still high out in that month. And, you are actually inside that expected move. So quite honestly, you can get, you may get run over on this. But that was the reason why I'm going to January. I'm trying to give myself a little bit more time. I'm out 66 days. All right. And so this is what this one looks like on the curve. Pretty simple. You have downside in this to about 82.5. We'll just call it $82 before you start getting pressure, where it becomes that you quite possibly can get a loser here. But again, you're out far enough where there's not a lot of theta, which I wish you had a little bit better theta on this. But again, to me, it's a decent trade for now. And if I'm able to get this for $1.95 or even $2 today, and there is a little bit more of an expansion here, you might do okay. So there you go. Marvell, M-A-R-V-L. They're in the right space. And being in the right space, I mean, look, they're in that whole AI infrastructure business in general. And I say that with a broad brush. They're basically into technology, which anything technology-wise now is going to be considered, it's an AI play, But anyway, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my mind around like what is and what isn't, and it's all up to you, folks. Whatever you decide it is. I mean, I know there's people who out there try to say what stuff is, and you never really know what it is until it is, right? So anyway, this is just my interpretation. So you can actually tell me that I'm wrong, which is fine, and I'm okay with it. But this is how I'm playing it. So then the next one on the list is CCJ. Now, this one is a little different because this one's actually had such a huge big run and continues to be relatively strong, having a pretty rough morning today. I'm sure this is somehow news related or the government opening back up or something. Something happened today. I don't know really what it is. Maybe I should look. But let's look at CCJ. Or Michael Burry. That's the new one. Michael Burry. And look, he might be right. And, was it a bad choice to short some of these AI stocks? I don't think so. I mean, especially if you're a big investor or a big trader like him. But problem is he's been wrong a lot, too. Cameco. Okay, so they announced the dividend, which I think that should actually be good. Trump's power investment in Westinghouse could lead to IPO with the UPS with the US, but that came out like a week ago. Altus Group, Equinox Gold. No, there's no news that I'm showing, so it's just nothing more than a pullback. But anyway, CCJ again, it's attractive because I said so. No, IV rank 55. That's good. Again, this one's going to be a little different because you got something that's kind of run. You got something that really is run up here, man. And although it's had a pullback here, I would like to see it kind of level off and then possibly maybe take another leg up. So the way I'm playing this, and a good trade, I think, for this one, again, going out to January. I'm skipping December, if you notice. A lot of trades I'm not going, because problem is with December right now, unless it's like a real short-term play, the problem with December is it's under 40 days, and I don't want, you know what I mean? I want a little bit more time right now. November, same thing. You only got 10 days left. I don't do weeklies. I usually take them off, right? I usually get rid of them. I don't do weeklies. I just don't find them unless I'm like just buying some calls or buying some puts for like a day trade. A lot of times with the weeklies, I get off track. I got ADHD. What are you going to expect? But anyway, what I do with the weeklies a lot of times, if it's just like a overnight thing, so I'll just maybe buy some weeklies before the close, and then when they open, I'll just sell them out. And if I made money, I made money. And if I didn't, I didn't. That's usually all I'll do with the weeklies. But what I was looking to do here was I was looking to do a short ratio, and it's actually right here. I'm going to say go. And the ratio I was looking to do was the 80-75 ratio. And then don't look at this buying power because I'm in an IRA here, folks. And the problem is in the IRA, I don't have margin. So the reason why I like this trade, and I'm not going to do it in the IRA because I can't, but the reason I like this trade, I had to clear it and then go to show the margin in here. And that should be the right margin. Yes. So I actually just bought that one, but I'm actually going to cancel it because it's not going to be priced. What a fiasco. Anyway, follow along with me. I know what I'm doing. What a jackass. Here you go. So it's going to be the 80-75 put ratio. There you go. All right. That's the right margin. $854. Max profit's $556. You're not going to make $556. The only way you really make $556 in this trade is if you actually get close, you'll see here how it bubbles, right? Closer to expiry, right, this thing actually gets down below 80. And the reason I'm doing this trade is because if indeed it does back off in that time, I have a lot of room. In fact, I don't start losing money on this trade theoretically until this goes down to 70, right? So that gives me a lot of room. And then the other thing to this is I can do with this like I do with every kind of short option. You can roll this sucker. If this thing starts going in your direction, you start rolling this up. And I can do one of two things. I could roll one or I could roll two. Doesn't matter. I have a lot of little flexibility in that. And so anyway, I like this trade, and this is actually going to be probably a little bit more money. You'll probably be able to do this for about 60 cents, I think, today, just based on the price being down about $1. And you can see the sky's the limit to the upside. Well, not the sky's the limit to the upside, but you're going to make money. So this is more of a strategic, even though this is giving me 7 deltas to the plus side, it's giving me a lot more protection to the downside if this thing goes down. Still giving me the ability to go long. So that's what I like about the ratio trade here. And because this has had such a huge run up, it kind of gives me a way to kind of hedge myself where, look, if this thing decides to shit the bed, and it quite possibly could, from where it is, we're right here, I'm insulated all the way down to here. And then from a chart point of view, this looks like where it probably may catch its support. Now, look, again, you don't know. It could plow right through there, and likely probably will if it gets down there, because that's usually the way it works. But at least what I'm doing is I'm trying to be strategic about getting long in here without just piling in like, yeah, it's going, because I don't know. And so anyway, I'm taking advantage of a few things. I'm trying to get long a stock that's been generally in a good trend. It's actually been backing off, but I'm also I'm taking advantage of volatility by selling options. But I'm also giving myself a shot where if it doesn't go my way, I still got a shot to make money in this. And so, that's the way I'm playing that one. So that's Cameco. And that's what that one looks like. And you could probably do that one for about 60 cents today. And that is the ratio. So you're going to buy 180 and sell 275s. Now you do need margin for this. This is not, because these are uncovered. All right, and that's about the margin. It's going to run you about $850. And then the max loss is obviously if it goes to zero. That's what it's telling you. All right, so that's Cameco. All right, and then last but not least is SMR. Now, I'm on the fence on this one because I kind of, and again, this was another one I kind of went through and I looked at the news. Their last quarter sucked. It had a big run up. It chopped, and then it actually broke. It broke down. Right? It broke down here. Let me get rid of these. It broke down here. It broke pretty key support, in my opinion. Here, it tried to get back up, but now it looks like it's even taking another leg down. It's down about another 43 cents. This doesn't look good. Nothing overall looks very good in here other than the fact that it had participated in the run up with all these, because they do modular reactors with nuclear and all, energy type stuff. Again, AI related, because we're going to need all this energy to, and nuclear has gotten a boost because of all the, talk about we're going to start building nuclear plants to support all this, right? And so it got kind of caught up in all that. But overall, fundamentally as a company, this one just doesn't look good. And so what I was looking to do with this one was not get totally short, but possibly, volatility being good in here at 50. I see no earnings on the horizon for this one. But with this one, I was looking to go to December and do a strangle. And the strangle I was looking to do was the 20. $32, right? 32. No, it was the 34. It actually might be a little different today because I think it's the 30. Yeah, it was the 34. And again, the nice thing about this one is margins are great in here. Look at the margins in here. And that was what I was looking to do in here. And you can see I have a pretty good band. I'm good all the way down to about $17 on the downside. And then on the upside, I'm good all the way up to 37. And it puts me outside of, and if I go back in here and we look at the expected move is $7. And so we're kind of outside of that range being where we're at with our strikes. So I really like that one. And I'm actually, and again, it has more to do with, and if you can see here, it's actually skewed more delta negative, but it is a strangle. And that was really not my intention, was to get short here, but my intention was to take advantage of some volatility here and get short. So it was kind of twofold because I don't really see this one kind of coming back. This one kind of looks like a little bit of a dog meat. And I really honestly could see this one coming back down to the low 20s here in the short term. And I could be totally wrong and something comes out and they get some contract with somebody that's going to be, billions and billions of dollars, and it goes back up to $56 and then I look like an idiot. But, I can't foresee that. So just based on what I know now at this point, this looks like a good trade. So I'm looking at that, but I'm also looking at this trade out in January. So that'd be December, right? Would be the strangle. And then in January, I'd be looking to do here, rather than a ratio put, I want to do a ratio call. And I want to take advantage of some of this because I looked up here and I saw all this open interest up here. All this open interest. And I said to myself, you know what? There's got to be a way to take advantage of this. I'm sure these calls are all jacked up. Because the calls are always jacked up, folks, because people are more apt to buy calls than they are to. And so I was going to go out to the 35, and I was going to do the 34-35 ratio. And you can do this one for about $2.63. And again, great margin in this stock. I mean, it's kind of awesome. 81% probability of profit. This is what it looks like on the curve. I actually like this trade much better than even the strangle, but the strangle is a shorter term trade, right? I'm doing that one in December. This one I'm doing in January. I'm good all the way up to almost 38.5. And then to the downside, it doesn't matter. It can go to zero. To me, this is a really strong trade, and I like it, especially being out in January and I got some time. So that's kind of my trade. So there you go. So we did Marvel, we did CCJ, and we did SMR. And then last but not least, I don't have it on the list, is Hut 8. And I've been doing a lot of playing around with this one. And we'll stick up on the chart too. This one, although kind of similar price action of late to SMR, has kind of the same type of problem though, is it's had this huge run up, and now it's getting a pullback. And can it hold? There's really not a lot of price action up here. Let's do the four. Let's go to the 4 hour, because the 4 hour might actually have a better profile. But it really hasn't generated any volume profile the way it has down here. And we go to the 1 hour. It'll be a little thicker. And how many level of thickness have you gone through? I don't know. I see this one kind of having the potential to go to the downside short term, but having the potential to kind of go through and then tag some of these new highs. This is another one that has a really nice chart of a classic double top here. Kind of riding on a trend up. Creating, ascending triangle. See? The ascending triangle. And so I guess the way I'm going to trade this is I'm going to trade this more or less bullish, but with the possibility that this thing is going to test this trend line support likely in the short term. Since I can't time, anything, I'm not going to time anything because I don't know. But the way I would play this is that this has got a tremendous amount of volatility in here. And so for this one, I'm not going to go out to January. I'm going to go out to March, and I am going to sell a put spread. And the put spread I like is the 35. 30. All right. And that is the put spread that I like. The 35.30 in March. Now, a lot of time, 129 days. I'm $10 away from where it currently is. If we go and look, it's got a $22 expected move out in March. So $22. I'm well inside of that, right? So I could very easily get run over in this one. And you might say, well, why don't you just buy calls? The calls are too expensive. And the reason I know they're too expensive is because of this. And I'm not going to overpay for calls. So I'm going to do it this way. And so this is what this one looks like on the curve. Little bit longer term play. But for this one, I have downside till $33. So, I got a pretty good buffer on that. And that's why I'm going that route with this. And that's why I'm going out to March on this as opposed to just doing something shorter term. As I want to give myself a little bit more time. All right, so there you have it. So Marvel, CCJ, SMR, and HUD 8. Ba-dum-bum. And that is it. That is what I have. And man, I am firing on all cylinders lately, I think, right? I got some technical analysis going on, and everybody knows what I think about technical analysis. Look, I love technical analysis because it just looks so freaking cool, especially when you have different colors and the trend lines match. But, look, folks, it works 50% of the time, just like everything else. But I like it. It looks cool. But to me, if you mix technical analysis with some of these option strategies, to me, that's where it becomes extremely useful. Because, that's what I do. So that's it. That's all I got. And, there is some economic news. I don't think it's really going to be market moving. Let's take a look at the ES. We've gone nowhere. We're still chopping around. So we'll see how we open. And then I'm looking at the news. There's some flyers here. SRDX. SRDX. whatever that is. Sermodonics. I think I hit the wrong symbol. I think I did. I think I picked the Boats Exchange. What the fuck that is? SRDX. No idea what that is. No clue. Sermodonics. So it has to have something to do. Likely, it's something to do with after Coeur ruling. Let's see. I don't even know. There's too many damn companies, man. SRDX. Sermodonics provides performance coating technologies. Ooh, wow. Performance coating, medical devices, chemical, biological components for the vitro diagnostic. So it's healthcare. And what's funny is that everybody's got, like, I'm actually looking on another service here. Everybody has like no rating on it. Or void, hold, underperform, sell, and the thing is up, huge. So hats off to you if you had Sermodix. Sermodix, is that what it is? Sermodix? Sermodix. Anyway, and that's it. That's all I got today. I'm spinning. I got nothing. Markets overall just churning around. Gold still having a pretty good day, up $22.